Hello and welcome back to Verde Broadcasting. I am Richard Jackson and this is Duncan Casey, and we brought something back, the format of trailer discussions, which we haven't done for ages because we were just doing a show about Lethal Weapon, and then Duncan mentioned Indiana Jones, so we talked about the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny trailer, because we were speculating about how if they brought back Lethal Weapon it would probably kill its leads because they're so old. And we've just mentioned how delighted we are that Harrison Ford survived the ordeal of an octogenarian of creating another Indiana Jones film. So the trailer dropped a couple of weeks ago. We're getting it on the 30th of June next year. It is an odd-numbered Indiana Jones film, which time has shown are the good ones. Danger, danger, danger. What were your thoughts when you watched this trailer?
Well, I watched it live with, I did a live stream for our lovely, wonderful, juicy Patreons.
They are, by reputation, very juicy.
They are, yeah. Speaking of adjectives. So I sort of watched it live with them, and I just thought, ooh, this doesn't look very good. And then I then sort of saw people talking about all the rumour stuff about it being about time travel, and I was like, that's not good. And obviously, and it all points to that in the trailer. But I was kind of like, yeah, it just looks like it may as well be called Indiana Jones Too Old for This Shit. Because he is. I'm sorry. Like, I love Harrison Ford to pieces, but it's just not believable. Like when they've got a rubbery CGI Indiana Jones jumping between, and I sort of got the impression that was supposed to be the young one. Like it's like not good. And then he like rears up on a horse, and his head sort of doesn't quite stay in time with his body.
It's a bit like when bless him, Samuel L. Jackson, Captain Marvel, the de-aging's pretty decent, but when he runs, he's got that old man run because he's in his 70s. So
Harrison Ford's had an old man run for a long time, though.
It's because he's 300.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
well, in the 90s, he was 50, wasn't he? He was doing all the Patriot games and Fugitive and all that when he was well into his 50s.
Of course, the reason he was in Patriot games is because he signed the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
Yeah, he's so old, you see. Look, I tell you what does again. They've been kind of bragging about the most recent de-aging thing, which is only going to get better.
Yeah.
And the fucking thing where they whip the hood off his head in this, and you see young Harrison Ford, it was like, that looks good. Like, I don't know how sustainable it is. I mean, I think we're looking at a wider issue where, if you have to constantly re-age people, it's because all that just shows what you're doing, doesn't it? You're pining for a thing that doesn't exist anymore. That's a problem with these kind of legacy sequels, which is a vile term, but anyway. It's a problem with these like legacy sequels is that you're pining for something that doesn't exist. In this case, a human being who will die because we're mortal. So it's kind of like, well, we're going to get a kind of, here's 2 minutes of the thing you remember and love.
I think it's because it's funny because when we were talking about Lethal Weapon, we were talking about Richard Donner and John McTiernan as being kind of scholars of the golden age of Hollywood, and you kind of go, yeah, that was reflected in their work. But I think what's happened now with modern filmmakers is that they are scholars and nostalgia wankers who now have it within their means to literally make stuff from the past. So that's kind of what they're doing. It's like technology has given them the ability, which is why no one wants to move on and make anything new. It's kind of like, there should be something made in the mold of that, which is what Indiana Jones was, right? Yeah,
Indiana Jones was harking back to the days of the serials and the kind of the black and white pulpy stuff, and it was people who watched stuff in the 50s, grew up and went, oh, what if we made our own one with loads of money in colour, with all these effects, ILM and da-da-da. So, but Back to the Future is the same thing. Star Wars, of course. So yeah, it's all just, Indiana Jones has always been backward looking. It just is what it is. It's in its DNA. But this is to address a wider problem of like, oh well, we'll just keep ransacking these corpses until we, Yeah. And he can't do any more. Like, he can't do any more. Like, bless him, he's too old. And Spielberg's not here for this.
Well, potential spoilers, because this is all speculation. But what I heard was the plot is supposed to be like he there's something that means he can go back in time because it's set in the 60s or something. So he goes back in time to younger himself and basically ends up dying in the past. So he erases himself. And I don't know if it's some sort of ham-fisted way of handing over to a younger version, you know, whether that's Phoebe Waller-Bridge or, God help us, fucking, what's his face?
No, he died. No. Now, Mutt, played by Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
They have poochied him out of this.
Right.
He died on the way to his home planet.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, incidentally.
Yeah.
but like, because older, you know, I think one of the things about Crystal Skull sucks, but like, it was lovely having Karen Allen back. And is this what, you know, I hate when they do this. They'll come back at the beginning and he'll be like, "Oh, I'm sad that Karen Allen's dead," or whatever, or like
it'll be him on the phone to Shia LaBeouf, and you'll only hear his
Right.
side of the phone conversation, and it'll be something like, "Go visit your mother's grave," or whatever. You know, it'd be like in Rocky, or that
Oh,
sort of-
I want Indiana Jones to call up. He's on the phone to a mortician who's telling him that Mutt broke his own back and died trying to suck his own dick. That's like the
yeah.
and then the mortician goes, "Also, he was a pedophile," and just hangs up. It's horribly ignominious.
He's on the sex offender register. I'm very old.
I'm so old. I suppose Dial of Destiny, right? Time travel, I guess.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that. Firstly, so you saying it to me is the first time I've heard it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't he go like, "I don't believe in
Magic.
crazy magic stuff," and it's like, didn't you cure your dad's bullet wound with some fizzy pop and meet an immortal knight?
I don't believe in
a magic
magic
temple.
Well, then why did you tell Marion not to look at the Ark when they opened it?
You open a magic box.
Why don't you just
and
stare
ghost-
at it? And, you know.
I don't believe in magic. I believe in ghosts, so and immortality, and it's like
I believe in the elixir of life. It's like
interdimensional aliens.
you met a knight from the Middle Ages.
Da, 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 da,
Just rode off and forgot about it, I guess.
Oh, it's because he's so old. He's forgotten.
That's true, yeah.
what-
I don't remember what I had for breakfast.
It keeps me regular. Yeah, all that. I don't, you know, whatever. I will say, in the laziest way, it's like, you know, the lazy thing is like, odd-numbered Indiana Jones films with Nazis are good. So I'm sort of like, because Mads Mikkelsen, amazing, love.
Oh yeah,
Mads
he looks
Mikkelsen
great too, isn't it?
as evil Nazi guy, like awesome, like, and I guess that's presumably in the past, unless he's just walking around in a Nazi uniform in the '60s.
Yeah.
So that's presumably someone from the past and stuff, and that's all good. Like, I think they've used, I think it's Glasgow doubling as like New York. John Rhys-Davies back for his third go round. Odd-numbered Indiana Jones films with John Rhys-Davies and Nazis. What other things are in Crusade and Raiders that I can shoehorn into this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it just looks a bit. They obviously what. Here's a warning sign. They try to sort of reverse the gag from the first one, don't they? Because at the end, he's like surrounded by Nazis and he starts whipping at them, and then they all just pull guns on him, and he ducks, and somehow that stops him getting shot. Or maybe it doesn't move. That's how he dies.
Right.
But probably not. But it's a bit sort of like, oh come on, don't. Is it going to be full of that? Is it going to be full of like, remember that thing you remember? Well, this is that, but the other way around, and it's like, that's really tedious. If that is the mileage we're going to get out of, you know, you sort of very, very quickly can lapse into just parody and taking the piss out of the thing you think you're showing reverence for, you know, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I think it could be in danger of that. I don't know. I mean, you know, who knows, but
It's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard. And I think anytime any one of these projects comes around, it's sort of like, oh god, is this just going to be loads of fucking nostalgia wanking, kind of nostalgia baiting type stuff?
I just feel like it doesn't Crystal Skull was one too far, and that was like what 13 years ago or something. It's like, guys,
Boy, it's astonishingly long time ago, wasn't it?
yeah, it's like it's not necessary. Please put the old man down.
Put him down. He was so old then, bless him.
Yeah,
like fucking Crystal Skull was so bad as well.
yeah.
Just all the kind of rubbery, plasticky, not just because of its effects. There's things like Kate Blanchett's great and stuff like that, but it's like the kind of comedy gophers. And it's not that there wasn't silly stuff in all indie movies, because there was, but like, and I don't even have a hugest problem about the nuking the fridge thing that people do, but just if I try and remember it, it's a big chewy, rubbery soup of a thing. It's just very unnourishing and unsatisfying and not funny and not interesting.
It's really badly paced as well, because there's so much stuff that, you know, it just slows down and literally gets bogged down at one point when they're in quicksand, and it just I struggle to get through. I saw it in the cinema, and I've picked it up in places like over the years on TV, but I've never really. Every time I sort of put it on and it's on, I'll go like, nah.
Yeah, sheer curiosity, right? Like,
yeah,
sort of
I don't think I've sat through it all the way. But I mean, I remember thinking Harrison Ford was doing all right then. I mean, he was in his late 60s when he did that. And it's kind of like, yeah, like I thought it was one last go around, and it very much seemed to be saying that. Like at the end, you know, he takes the hat and he puts it on and he walks off and he's married, and it's kind of like, great, the end. The end. Like, you know, and it's just like one more time. Like, no, and you know it's going to be. I think there's a danger. Like Harrison Ford has a massive death wish for his famous characters. Like he just seems like he's like, next we're gonna kill Richard Kimball. It's like, why? Stop killing people. You know, they've killed James Bond. They've killed the Queen. Stop killing fictional people.
The Queen.
No, okay.
Sorry.
That does seem to be a thing they're doing. You know, like Han Solo. I get that.
Yeah,
vibe
I think
from it,
surely like he's not getting out of this alive, is he? Like
either
Han Solo
the character
fucking,
or him. I mean,
well, yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
There's no way Indy gets out of this. Like Harrison Ford's thing for bringing back Han Solo was, yeah, but he fucking dies.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, all right, fair
But
enough.
we're into a bit of a. That does seem to be what a lot of the things they're doing with these characters now. You know, they did it with James. I mean, I think with James Bond it was a bit more of the let's do this for the shock factor. With Han Solo it was a bit like that as well. It was a bit kind of like, no, like, you know, it was like, and you kind of go, yeah, but I'm not invested in any of this, so it's kind of like, well, fine, I guess. I just think there's an awful. I think when you sort of, it depends how you do it. I think if a character is still being treated with respect and goes out, that's one thing. I think it's when it's like The Last Jedi. You know, we've spoken about this before, but it's kind of like how they handle Luke in that sort of deconstructionist. He's just a grumpy dickhead thing, and then it's like, well, then I don't care that he died. You know, I think we're supposed to feel a sense of redemption at the end, and it's like, I really could go either way with Indiana Jones, and you kind of think, well, we've had a lot of examples of it being done not right recently, so I don't know. I'm assuming that's what they're going to do. I can't imagine he ends this and goes off to the care home. It's like,
yeah.
No,
I'm marrying that one from the third film, whatever she was called.
Where's the one from Temple of Doom?
Can I have the one from the computer game I wasn't in? That one. Why? What do you got much of a opinion on James Mangold as a director? Because I think that it's a real. You got to take some balls to accept this project, or I don't know who came to who, but it's like you're taking over from Spielberg.
Yeah,
I mean, I know after following one of Spielberg's less liked films, but you're ultimately taking over from Spielberg. I mean, that really is.
Yeah.
You know, you got some balls on you, James Mangold. I mean, he's a highly successful director. So I don't suppose.
Well, I loved
Ford. Gives a shit what I think. But.
Ford versus Ferrari was great. The Greatest Showman, in spite of my general not loathing but like disdain for musicals, was great.
Wait, did he direct Greatest Showman?
No, he produced it. Sorry.
Okay.
You know, I'm just sort of. He's got his eyes on.
What about he did Copland, Girl Interrupted?
Yeah, yeah.
Heavy, and I didn't really like the Wolverine, but I did like Logan. There's Le Mans '66 as well. He's got a 320 Yuma remake. You did, so yeah. It's a very, 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 very solid rap sheet.
He did Night and Day, but I mean, but he's done things like Walk the Line and Logan, which I think play very much into that kind of old man, going out in a certain way type thing, if you know what I mean. And it's kind of like, that's what I think they're going for with this. So I think it's probably that. If I look at his filmography, I think of all of it, it's probably those two films that they're kind of looking to, for this, I think. Mm-hmm. Which again leans into the whole like Indiana Jones gon' die.
He gon' die.
He gon' die.
He gon' die.
Indiana Jones gon' die, man. Said Chris Tucker.
In the Fifth Element.
Yeah. Indiana Jones gon' die, man. But he is, I think. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
I mean, if Han Solo can't make it out alive,
if fucking James Bond can't make it out alive, what hope does Harry? And
then Richard Kimball and Regarding Henry are going to die next.
As they just work their way backwards. Which one was from Witness? John Ryan.
Witness.
Jack Ryan's going to die. Like they're all
of them. Yeah, they're all just picking whoever he was in American Graffiti, dead.
Yeah. Whoever that was. It's just like this lined up like a sort of firing squad.
It's just walking down the line with a loaded pistol. Just looking at. Oh, fuck. Yeah, no, surely he dies. I can buy into the time travel stuff as well. So I mean, even if it's not there, obviously the de-aging stuff is very good.
I mean, I don't know what do you think of the time travel, putting that in as a... I mean, it's not that I think it can't exist in the Indiana Jones universe. I'm just not a fan of it as a plot device, really.
Unless it's the premise of your film, yeah. I think introducing it late on in a series is ropey. I mean, I would say, I think... I never, ever, 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 ever had a problem with Crystal Skull's premise. Mm-hmm. Like, it makes as much sense as anything else. People are like, aliens, it's stupid. It's like, no, it's set in the 50s. Like, it makes as much sense as the fucking literal Pandora's box. And whatever. Like I'm fine with it. Time travel as well. I'm kind of like, I'm fine with that in principle. You're in kind of you're on thin ice when you're introducing it into a series. It feels a bit desperate, like a few movies in.
Yeah, to
sort of like time travel, but then you need to think about what's the next spectacular thing you can do, and I suppose time travel's up there. But if he's like, if he's running around buddy copping with himself, that sounds awful. Like all things like this. So despite what people say about me, I don't want to be annoyed or disappointed. Like, I want to enjoy it, and if they come out of the gate with this James Mangold directed crazy time travel Indiana Jones film that's fun and satisfying and crazy and a good send off, then great.
Yeah,
as I always say as well, is what we've been burned many times before with shitty revivals of things. So I reserve the right to be fucking skeptical as usual.
It just seems like, and I'm assuming it's the reason for that must be because they're just done for the wrong reasons. I think if you need to find a thing to say, and I think that's. And not just a thing, because that's often what people allude to, like, you get all these stories like, I sat down and I read the script, and saw the contract. Right. But I fucking
hate those.
Yeah.
So much.
And it just resonated with me, the thing it was going to say and all this sort of stuff. And then you go, right. And then when you watch it, you go, oh, I see, the thing that it was saying was death. And that's
the sweet release of death.
Yeah, it's just obsessed with dying, apparently. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you say, I don't have anything invested in it being shit. I'm not one of these. You get those YouTubers who are like, I told you it was gonna be shit. Oh, I said it back in the day. Everyone applaud me, and it's like, I'm not really up for that. I kind of want it to be good, but
exactly. Why would you want something to?
For your own sense of smug satisfaction, I suppose.
Smug fartitude, yeah. Hey, look, again, I want nothing more than a good fucking a good indie movie. You've just reminded me of a thing, just a brief digression. Like, and when you get the star sat behind a camera for some press kit, going like, "Oh yeah, so I sat down and read the script and it really resonated with me," and blah 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 blah. There's a great channel that I very thoroughly recommend, which you may already be subscribed to, everybody, and you Duncan, I don't know. It's a channel called Hats Off Entertainment by a guy called Joe Ramone. Does these lovely little. He does things called almost cult classics and like forgotten failures and things like that. And he'll do stuff about like silent movies, but then he's got a real thing for John Hughes and stuff. This week he did a video about Bad Santa 2, and I haven't seen Bad Santa 2. It's not very good by all accounts. Bad Santa 1, really great movie, really fun Billy Bob Thornton movie. Bad Santa 2 occurred like 15 years later, and the only person who wanted to make it was Billy Bob Thornton. So there's none of the original production, anybody. There's a couple of original cast in him. He made it happen. And Joe Ramone's, it's called Bad Santa 2 Forgotten Failures, if you're interested. Joe Ramone's video is kind of based around Billy Bob Thornton in the press kit for Bad Santa 2. And it's like, this was your idea. And he's just sat there kind of like, yeah, so... you know, you have a movie, and then you make another one, and it's not as good, but this one's going to be good, and it's just like.
Is he like Harry Styles in that fucking interview? Where he's just like, you know what I liked about the movie was it's like a movie, and like Chris Pine's just sat there going like. Just like you just see, you can pinpoint the actual moment when his heart breaks. It's just like,
breaks.
Oh, he just loses hope in humanity right at that moment.
That on Valium.
Right.
It's really doped up. It's like this was your idea, and you can't even muster the false
from the south. Yeah.
Well,
I can't be asked to promote this. What is this? This is horse shit.
Horse shit. That's his idea, and even he can't muster the energy to do an interview about it. And it's just that kind of, well, I really love the themes of the script, and it's like they've asked you to say something nice because you're getting $20 million or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that Harrison Ford was not doing press for this film, and it doesn't reflect on the quality. It's just he's Harrison Ford. He doesn't have to. You know what I mean? He's taking his check and just kind of checked out.
Well, he did. I mean, I have to. What did we watch? What was that film? That the rubbery dog film. What's it called? Like Call of the Wild. Cool. There's someone on the phone. It's the Wild. What's that called?
That we watched?
No. We as in me, my wife and I.
Oh well, I can't help you there.
What? Well, I thought you knew everything.
Everything. I've got a spreadsheet of what you watch. Yes.
I think it's Call of the Wild. Hang on. Call of the Wild. The Call of the Wild. Die Wild. And it was good, and he was good. As gruff outdoorsman. It's a bit weird because the dog looks like it's made of rubber.
Oh, it's the CGI dog. Yes.
Yeah.
They had like a human sat in a fucking ping pong.
Pretty much.
For some reason.
Yeah. But it had a lot of heart, and it was quite good. But and it's a Disney film for fuck's sake. It's fine.
Yeah.
But he wasn't unbelievable in that.
He is tremendous. He is Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Not for a moment do I think anything less of him. It's just like, there's stuff he doesn't really like to do his legacy characters, and they pay him a bunch of money to do it, and he does it, and it's fair enough. He's amazing. Like, he's where he is for a reason. Like, particularly someone who's so kind of low energy in his performances, famously. Like, I wouldn't call it minimalist, but like, he's Harrison fucking Ford, man.
Yeah.
Like, we all love the Fugitive and Witness and all of these movies. We love them for a reason. He's a real actual movie star.
He was the highest paid actor in the 90s, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah. I think we talked about that on the Fugitive stream or something, didn't we?
Yeah.
And at the time I was a bit like, holy fuck, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, that's when it really was like Fugitive was a huge. That was a big peak because even though he didn't win a lot of awards for it, did he? But it won a lot of awards.
Yeah, it won all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we'll both inevitably see it. We'll both inevitably review it. It's just what's going to be inside this box, this dusty octogenarian box.
He's got 5 projects coming up. He's got Indiana Jones. He's got Captain America: New World Order. Whatever that is. Thunderbolts, 1923, the year he was born, and Shrinking, the year he turned 23.
Oh, that's two Marvel projects in there, so he's joined the Marvel. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Shit, well, that's it. Because that's the thing, he doesn't have to do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're lucky to have him. He said yes to that. With his,
Who didn't he replace someone? I can't remember. There was a story about that.
Is he not? Because
he's
William
Thunderbolt
Hurt
Ross.
died.
He's Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah,
yes,
William Hurt died,
of course.
I think
Yeah.
He's, which is
Well,
really
that's
mad,
fine, I guess.
I think he's about 80 years older than William Hurt was.
Yeah.
Like it's because you can't have the Thunderbolts without Thunderbolt Ross, right? But like,
Yeah.
it's quite a high profile recast. And I just nutted my microphone. To use old Harry Ford. I imagine he's like, if you called him Harry, he'd punch you.
I would try.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I would try.
Because he replaced Bruce Willis, didn't he, in Expendables 3?
Yes.
So he's the kind of replacement guy, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Different demeanour from William Hurt as well. But anyway.
And indeed Sam Elliott, who was in the... Because technically the first Hulk does take place in the Marvel Universe only because it leads to him being in the jungle at the end, and that's where Ed Norton is. It's so it's in continuity with that. So surely,
it's
surely it is.
But it is.
Verde Broadcasting. Goodbye, Richard.
Why not just bring back some? But seriously, just bring back fucking Sam Elliott.
Yeah, fuck yeah, he'd be. Yeah, in fact, that would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? Because I mean, he's 1,000,000,005 years old. I mean, but so's Harrison Ford. If you want a grumbly man with a moustache, there's your man with the best voice ever.
Yeah, Sam Elliott's got a bit more enunciation in it.
It's not stoned off his tits all the time.
Allegedly. I've been avoiding talking about Harrison Ford being perma-stoned, but I'm like, why? That's never bothered me before.
It's getting very, very sort of conservative in your old age, Richard.
Yeah, you're just worried about being sued, because definitely Harrison Ford's worried about a YouTube video watched by 4 people.
4 lovely, juicy people.
4 juicy people. Yes. Well, that's it, I think, for speculation for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The dial owned by a stripper. So that's enough of you. I think if you want to speculate in your own way underneath in the chat, please do. Because come and chat with us, guys, and tell us what you think. So we'd like to interact with you in the chat. And I think our audience, you guys always have interesting stuff to say and usually bring the facts that we don't know. So get involved and have a talk about it and see what you think. And then when it comes to June, we'll all chat about it again once we've seen it all. So yeah, going to be interesting. That's it. Going to wrap this up. Don't go back in time and look at a de-aged me.
It's look the same with hair.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's just less sad. All right, that's it. Thanks for tuning. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.